All right, Grand Rising and priming powerful beings. Shout out to you. It's the Holistic Motivator. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. Just listen to the book, The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, one of my favorite books to read. And yeah, we've just been rising and priming. So I just wanted to come here and do a little bit of meditation following that. So we're gonna, yeah. So focus on the power of now. Let me tell you something. A lot of times we don't suffer life, but we suffer our thoughts about life. So a lot of people actually think too much they're not being enough, so they don't think that they're enough. Let me say that again. A lot of people think too much that they're not being enough, so they think they're not enough. And what I mean by that is overthinking is over scrutinizing, over analyzing, over like not enough grace in your life doesn't give you enough space to be, right? When you don't have enough grace in your life, you just don't have enough space to be because you're constantly hitting yourself in the head with your mistakes, with your problems, what you didn't do, with your failures, with your lack of action, with your character flaws or whatever. And all of that time you spent hitting yourself in the head with your own thoughts, you can actually be building with them. All right, so one of the major reasons why I've always be like, yo, meditate, meditate, meditate. One of the major reasons I'd be like, yo, make sure you have peace practice, peace practice. One of the major emotions I'd be like, yo, tap into, understand that you're an emotional being. Tap into, understand what emotions you're feeling so you can actually transform them if you'd like. The reason why I talk about that continuously is because whenever you get hijacked by your thoughts, by your emotion, by your circumstances, this is when you are no longer living now. You're suffering a foreseen possible demise in the future or past pain, right? A lot of people, they either live in the future or in the past, right? You're suffering a foreseeable demise in the future. Like something bad's gonna happen. You think something bad's gonna happen. Oh, I won't be able to keep this. Or you're healthy now, but you're like, man, I'm gonna get sick, right? So you're suffering a possible failure in the future, which is not actually true. Or you're suffering a past pain. And past pain gets housed in our bodies, right? It's not just in your mind. It's not something you just think of. Sometimes it's in your muscle tissues. Your issues are in your tissues. Your emotions block the energy in motion, right? So you have to learn how to transmute them. You gotta learn how to feel them, release them, do something about them. You have to learn how to accept them. You gotta learn how to observe them, right? So that's kind of like the gist of the power of now. It's like, yo, learn to observe your thoughts. Learn to disassociate from the identities you created with the world, right? Because a lot of people, they're not necessarily just suffering the past or the future. They're actually suffering their expectations of society, or they're suffering comparison, comparing yourself to somebody else. And some people are actually suffering everybody else's problem. Some people are suffering the whole world's problem and not focus on their inner world. And this is an issue. By that I mean you are worried, sick. Worried, sick is a term because sickness comes from worrying. You're worried, sick. You're a sick warrior. You worry yourself to sickness about everybody else's problem, which may affect you or may not affect you. And here's what we do sometimes. We focus on the things we can't control, and we don't develop enough clarity to control the things we can, and that's an issue. We focus on the things we can't control, and we don't have enough clarity to act on the things that we can. This is an issue. So guess what the solution is to this issue? Focus on what you can control and accept the things that you can't control, and do what you can with your life to make a difference in the stuff that pisses you off, right? But if you can't make a difference in the stuff that pisses you off, if you're worried about everything pissing you off, if you're overly consumed with information, you're literally learning how effed up the world is. You've taken the pill, right? You didn't take the pill to just numb your mind. You took the pill to show you the truth. You stepped into the truth. Now you're stepping into a world that you thought was all rainbows and daisies, and you're not. Oh, it's not butterflies and rainbows and daisies. It's actually a whole lot of and now you going like, whoa, what's going on with the world? To change that, here's what we got to say. We got to say, I understand that this world is a crazy world. but that doesn't mean that my world got to be crazy. Somebody comment that. I want y'all to comment this in the chat. This is a message. I understand that this world is a crazy world, but I don't have to bring that crazy in my world. I understand that this world is a crazy world, but I don't have to bring that crazy in my world and make myself go crazy. The reason why I say that is everything is not your problem. Focus on what you can control and accept the things you can't control so you have enough clarity to do something about the things that pisses you off. So let's go back. One of the reasons why we're overconsumed with everybody else's world is because we're not focused on our inner world. My message for you today is to focus on your inner world. How do I focus on my inner world? First of all, we have to get in the real world. The construct of the city is not necessarily the real world. It's in the real world. But the real world is this nature, the way that God communicates to us through our senses, right? So which means the systems you operate in is not necessarily the real world. We got to get in the real world. That means in nature. It's as simple as that. Some of you are city goers, and the reason why you're not in touch is because you never touch the earth. You go from concrete to concrete to concrete to concrete. And you're wondering why you feel hard and stuck. Well, because you're in a concrete juggle and you are stuck in the concrete. You need to free your mind. Parks, you need to go to the beach, the park, you need to go to the trail, you need to go to the camp, you need to get out in nature, take your shoes off, walk on the ground. You need to go, and if there's a snow, I don't know, do whatever snow activity. You need to go in nature with the elements. Have a fire. It's cold, have a fire, be around the fire. Like, you need to get in nature. One of the major ways that you can tap into your inner world is to get out in nature. Second is to breathe deeply and consciously. One of the major people don't breathe. They hold their breath all of the time, and this is an issue. They literally hold their breath. So are you constantly holding your breath? Anybody can say, I constantly holding my breath, right? If you're constantly holding your breath, you need to practice deep breathing. You need to go in a yoga class. You need to take the breathing class. You need to try my Qigong class. You need to go on YouTube and learn how to breathe, right? If you're holding your breath all the time, you got to breathe deeply. This is one of the major things. A lot of people are like, man, I don't feel so healthy. I feel anxious, right? Aside from getting some fresh teas for your anxiety. All right, let me do a shameless plug. I feel anxious. Guess what you need to do? You got to breathe. Breathing is free. Why is breathing so important? Stress is due to a lot of factors, but one of the major reasons why people stay stressed is because they don't breathe effectively to activate what causes them to get out of stress, which is your breath. Your parasympathetic nervous system is activated through breathing. By breathing in and exhaling, right, you are activating the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So this is a way you actually breathe your way out of stress. Just like you have to burn the stress off. That's called exercise. Literally burns the stress off. When you exercise, you perspire. Your issues are stuck in your tissues. So when you perspire, issues are living your tissues. Your toxins is exiting your body through the pores of your skin. This is detoxing. Breathing is detoxing. Movement is detoxing, right? Even how you think is detoxing. Somebody says, what are some other ways of detoxing? Teaing is detoxing, right? Like drinking some fresh anxiety. A lot of people don't know the benefit of vervain, lemongrass, Lepia alba. These are been shown to help with anxiety and depression. So what if throughout the day you're constantly anxious, but your anxiety causes you to eat? What if you created a tea culture where you drink stuff like lemongrass, Lepia alba, vervain, or even catnip, right? Which is all good for anxiety and depression. In fact, I just learned about a herb that I have that I didn't know had this benefit. And I'm like, yo, why are they not promoting this? This helps you actually with opioid detoxification, right? And I was like, bruh, how come they ain't let us know? So it turns out passion flower, which is in my parasite cleanse tea, helps with getting off of opioids. Of course, it helps with sleep. It helps with other things. I'm like, yo. So basically, what does herbs do? Herbs help you fix the issues that you tried to fix with a vice. You can actually heal with a herb. Somebody, let's say that again. Herbs fix the issues you try to fix with a vice. You can actually heal with the herbs. Just like the guinea hen weed solves an issue. Just like the neem leaf powder, a major way of detoxification. Actually, Sadhguru, along with turmeric, suggests that you take this. Clear your blood all of the time, especially when those of you who are dealing with fever. Neem leaf powder, which I have. All of these are all natural, organic herbs from my shop, theholisticmotivator.com. So herbs is a second way that you can actually, a third way that you can actually be more in tune, be more at peace. So you literally drinking herbs. So passion flower, which I mentioned earlier, is actually great to help you sleep. It's actually great for getting off of opioids. Like literally, it's been researched. Passion flower helps you get off of opioids. And that's why I actually even mixed it with the Cerecy, which actually does something to clean out your blood. So if it helps that addiction to opioids, it's probably gonna help you with ganja. It's probably gonna help you with cigarettes. It's probably gonna help you with other things too, right? So that was a very good article that I came across. And that's the thing with these herbs. They literally be having multiple benefits, right? Like this pigeon pea leaf that I call an antibiotic, right? I call it, I forgot what the name I was calling it, but it's actually really great for that, right? It's like taking a aspirin. Now, it also serves for the women's vaginal health, right? So herbs are a really good way. So let me go back. Grounding, breathing herbs, tea. And here's what I want you to do. Detoxification. So somebody says you put in your own passion flower. Do the research and let me know. And if you need some, my shop, Parasite Cleanse Tea, baby. Put your husband on that passion flower. Put your husband on that anxiety. Like, literally help. If you got a husband and they're going over 40, here's what you need from my shop. theholisticmotivator.com/shop. Here's what you need. You're gonna need the guinea hen weed, right? Help him with that prostate, baby. Help him with that prostate. You're gonna need this right here. So y'all go check that shop out. Grounding, breathing, herbs, exercise and movement, and then journaling. Okay, here's the next one right here. Journaling says, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna actually write down what my thoughts are, how I'm feeling, so I can navigate through them on paper. And then guess what I'm gonna do? I'm actually going to not only write my thoughts and emotions down so I can navigate them through paper, I'm going to change my mentality about my life by asking myself the right questions and not condemning statements. Okay, a lot of people condemn their future possibility with statements that block any opportunity. I like that. What did I just say? Okay, I forgot. Yeah, so they block their possibilities because they literally stop it. It's not an opportunity, it's a condemnation. It's a condemnation statement rather than an opportunity question. Condemnation says, this is it for me, I can't do nothing about it. Opportunity said, this is it, but this is not it. It's actually a way for me to figure out how to, or how do I is a better question than why am I? Okay, why am I so ugly? It's not a great question. How do I love myself more and appreciate my beauty? That's a better question. Or how do I increase my hygiene and my fashion so I can look better? You might not be really ugly, but you just lazy. Better question gives you better answers. Why am I so angry? Right? That's a question that's gonna say because you, that's a blame question. If you say, what is happening within me that's making me express myself this way, right? That is a better question than why am I such a mad person? And you gonna say to yourself, because you're crazy. And then you're gonna accept that. You're gonna say, well, I'm just crazy. So when somebody says you crazy, now they're gonna trigger you. You gonna hate them, not because you hate them, but because you hate that about yourself. So it's literally projection on somebody else because you hate that part of you. So when you ask yourself better questions, and you can actually dismantle the way that you see yourself, so you can see yourself in a better light. So that way you are actually treating yourself better, talking nicer to yourself. So guess what we do? We have to ask yourself better questions. 4 questions I brought to y'all yesterday, to those of you who tapped in yesterday and was watching the podcast and we did some journaling, was, what do I want my life to look like? This is a vision of the future. What do I want my life to look like? Why is a vision of the future so important to have, everybody? This is why it's so important to have a great vision of the future. A vision of the future pulls you forward. A vision of the future is a pull forward. It literally lifts you out of stuck moments, because you say, even though my life looks like this, I have a vision of how it's going to look like. And every single day I'm doing what I need to do to turn my dreams to a reality. Can nothing stop me. I appreciate all the love. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, I appreciate it. So what you got to understand is, have a strong vision of the future. See something in your future better than it is right now. Understand that what God said, that the latter will be greater than the former, was not blasphemy, but was truth. And you got to say that my best has not yet to come. I got way more in me, no matter how old you are. Whether you're 40, whether you're 30, 27, 29, 50, 55, 62, 79, whatever your age is, your latter will be greater than your former. Because guess what? You are the best version of yourself up until this day. Even if you don't have as much money as you thought you should have, you are literally the best version of yourself today. Why? Because you got more experience, you went through more stuff, you got more knowledge, you got more wisdom, you know more how to, you've seen more underneath the sun. And somebody says time that may not equate to wisdom, but guess what? It definitely equates to going through some bullshit. And when you go through all that BS, it may not have equate to wisdom, but at least now you know how to avoid the BS, okay? So what I'm letting you know right now is you are actually the best version of yourself today. But if you are judging yourself based on your worst version, you can never grab into your best stuff. A lot of people are judging themselves based on the worst version, so they can't grab onto their best stuff. The reason why you're not grabbing on your best stuff is because you're looking at the worst part of you, and you're starting your life on the worst aspects of yourself. How about the best parts of you? How about the beautiful moments that you create? How about the essence that other people clap for? When you walk in the room, they say, I really like that about you. How come you never see and applaud that? How come you don't create your vision of the future based on the best version of you? You only think about a demise in the future. You think about how things can go wrong for you. Why must things go wrong when you can make it go right? Question you say is, what do I want my life to look like? It's so powerful because it says, I am in control of how my life look like, because it's my life, my world, my creation. Okay. Somebody says, I am not God, but at least I am the God of my world, right? I am not the God of this world, but at least I can actually create my world. What I mean by that is how you perceive life, what you do every single day. Your world is up to your choice, right? Your world is up to your choice. Guess what? If you want your world to be in alignment with the creator of the world, you got to connect to God. 5th pillar, which is the first pillar, is connect to God. When you connect to God, what happens is the chaos you have in your world is now no longer chaotic, because you're tapped into the creator of the world. The reason why our worlds be in chaos is because it's not connected to infinite intelligence. It's not connected to God. It's not connected to the essence of all, right? So we feel like something is missing. We're out of alignment. We don't know who we are because we're not in connection, in communion with God. That's what the word says. You got to seek first the kingdom of God, then all of these things that will come into you. So somebody says you cannot get rid of chaos. There are things in life that will always come around. but you don't have to live in chaos. So we cannot get rid of problems, but we don't have to live a problematic life. There are people who have a lot of chaos going around them, yet they live in more peace than people who actually have everything going for them. Like literally have a roof, food, everything taken care of. How come there is really not much chaos as it relates to survival, yet there is mental chaos? Chaos does not always root from outside circumstances. Chaos does not always root from what's happening in your environment. Chaos sometimes is internal conflict that's happening inside of you. And who's infiltrating the chaos? Your mind, your body, your emotions, what happened in the past, what you're seeing in the future. We can't always get rid of the chaos that is caused by others, but we can always transform the chaos that is caused to ourselves. Chaos can be created by everybody around us, but our perception of what's happening around us, how we soak in the energy, what that energy means, is what it really matters. It's not what happens. It's what those things mean to us and what they determine that we're gonna do based on those things. It's not that everything is chaotic, there's a pandemic and things are going crazy. It's not what happens that is the issue. It's our perception, reception, and how we then act with the information we've gotten that matters. So what do I mean by that? If you in this world right now, you got to fortify your temple that you can see chaos and still think in peace and logically to make the right decision. Why? Because the world is crazy, things are going real fast, and it's hard to keep up. So chaotic world requires peaceful beings. Chaotic world requires peaceful beings. But guess what you have to do? You have to gain control. Somebody said I had to learn to gain control over myself and my emotions. Somebody comment below. I'm learning to take control of my emotions. Somebody said, is that elderberry? I can't tell. I do got the elderberry though. Okay. I got elderberry leaves for those of you who want some. Just harvested some. I was like, okay, so what am I saying today? What do I want my life to look like? And what about your life you don't like? That's the next question. If you understand that one of the things about you that you don't like is how your emotional responses. You're like, I don't like how I respond to people or how I am or how I happen when things go wrong. I just don't like that. Why would you say something like that? Somebody says that, well, that's negative thinking. Well, okay, self-awareness is not just looking at the good parts of yourself and say, I am like God, but it's looking at the evil parts in yourself and say, I also got the devil in me. All right? That's self-awareness. It's understanding the duality of your nature, having enough grace and space to accept it, and enough courage to make it the way you want it. That's called self-awareness. I understand that I am light and dark, that I am carnal yet spiritual, that I am carnal yet spiritual, that I am both righteous and a sinner, and every single day my idea of salvation is being more righteous than sinful, being more in my highest version than my lower version, making higher decisions than low self decisions, being more creative and less destructive, being a thriver and not a survivor, right? It's just like, it's like a constant choice every day. I get to choose. It's either I live in angel time or I live in demon time. This is the constant battle of light and dark. And self-awareness is, I accept that these two are. When we say, what don't I like about myself? You can say this is a little shadow self. Like, look, if I want to step into the light, you got to see your shadows. A lot of people, they want to step in the light. When the light hits, they look at the shadow, they get scared. And nah, let me tell you, the reason why the light is hitting in this specific angle is because it has to show you this. That's how it reflects the dual nature of you, So enlightenment doesn't mean you're going to step into possibilities. It's also going to step into how you are obstructing your own way. And when you find out that you're both the person fighting the boot that's pushing your head down on the ground and the person holding the boot, this is when you start to let go, right? I did a speech one day and I was like, you gotta let let the pain go, but I forgot what it was. I forgot what I had said actually. It was basically the concept of you are actually causing your own suffering, and basically you gotta let the boot go. You gotta stop stuffing your face. You gotta let the pain go. You gotta let the hurt go. Okay? So you literally have to stop doing that. Now, why would we do something to ourselves that's already done to us by everything around? Because you were programmed, right? You were channeled, right? There were waves sent to your brain waves. The television told lies to your vision. They told you a vision that was not your vision, and you made it your vision. And eventually now you were programmed to act and be a certain way, and you didn't even know it. And you're fighting for an identity that's not your identity. Have you ever met somebody who's really fighting for somebody that they're really not? They know they kind of putting up a front, but they don't even call it a front because they have no idea between their front and who they are. Right? That's called wearing a mask. And a lot of people, all of us, at some point in our lives wear a mask, and we still do. I wear some masks to walk in certain rooms. So do you. Everybody wear masks, and they could call it code switching. But guess what we do? We don't just code switch when we walk in rooms. It seems like when we walked in this earth, we just decided we're going to be code switchers. So we don't move as spirits no more. We be moving at what other people want you to be. So people don't necessarily be what their spirit is telling them to be. They're literally being what everybody wants them to be. Somebody says, if you want me to be whatever you want me to be, I'll be. So they never really know their being. They don't know who am I? Who am I, man? Because they're only being what everybody want them to be. They're like, oh man, they want to be me. They want me to be like this, so I'm going to be like this so they can accept me. Right? The best thing to do to be grounded is, I'm not going to be what they want me to be so they can accept me. I'm going to be what God called me to be because God already accepted me. And this is how I'm learning to accept myself. So if every single day you say, I'm going to be what God called me to be, and you seek to learn what that is by reading your word, dwelling, like literally connecting to the Holy Spirit, all this good stuff. And by the word, I mean like the Bible, right? By God, I mean praying to the creator of the universe, the God of Abraham, Yahweh, Yeshua. Like by praying to God, this is a good thing to you, right? What it's going to do is it's literally going to reveal to you how to be the way that God called you to be. And God's going to then get in your spirit where you'll be educated on over time. And it just seems to happen. It's a spiritual process where you don't understand, but things start to mean different things to you now. And you start to see God in the circumstances that you thought that there was only demons in. Like by that I mean there are moments in your life where you think God is non-existent in your dark moment. Like you literally think there's no creator, there's no form, because this is so crazy, and because I'm so sinful or whatever's going on in my life, God can't exist in this moment. When you start to walk with God is in your darkest moment, you're gonna realize that the only being I wouldn't even limit God to a being, but the only essence that's within you, the only support, the only love that you really have is the love of God and the Creator. This is the unconditional love and guidance of the Creator. And that's what's going to lead you into bliss. That's what's going to get you everything else you actually want. Everything else is just a structure. Nothing gets you to God but going to God. Really, nothing gets you to salvation but God. Like nothing. No practice, no breathing, no grounding, no reading, no journaling, no more knowledge or information or retreat is going to get you to God, but you in your heart of heart connecting to God and asking God to direct your life, right? It's a spirit. It's a spirit. The practice helps you be in that spirit to tap into God, but the practice is not God. So somebody says, okay, does that mean that meditation is gonna be it for me? That's gonna help me change my life. It'll help you, but that won't be it, right? Because you're meditating to connect to what? You're just meditating just to be for the cycle, the physical aspects of it, to relax your nervous system, boom, boom, boom. You will feel at ease by breathing and sitting still and eradicating. You will tap into that. However, there's a greater essence that meditation can lead you to, right? So if you meditate, your mind is at peace, your spirit is in one, and you have a connection, you literally now you're getting guidance. You're getting, right? It's literally like, instead of doing it by yourself and like asking people what's the next move, it's like God be like, yo, this is your next move right here. And you're like, okay, I got it. Think about it. It's like having the best counselor, partner. Like, it's like, yo, there is no possible other connection but to have the creator of everything be your like literally like pilot. Like, that's next level. A lot of people think it's control. So they look at it and be like, man, these people, they don't want to be free. No, we're just learning how to be smart. You just trying to use your own knowledge. I got God on my side. I just want y'all to really think about that. Like, you trying to use your own information, but somebody says, I got God inside of me. Like, yo, that's just a way different, bigger than, oh, this is trying to control me, right? And when we really know it, you'd be like, man, because I can't do that, man. You think that it's a limitation, but it's actually a protection. And that's the dilemma. So every single day, to stop doing the things, to fix the things you don't like about your life, you got to understand that it's going to take a connection where a call in your mind says, change, son, change. You got to change. Next, it says, what bothers you because you're not doing it? Okay? What's in your spirit right now that you are so bothered by because you're not doing it? It's like, you know, you should be doing this thing right here. You'd be like, this thing right here, man, this thing right here, I should be doing that. But you're not doing it. So you don't feel good about yourself. You're like, man, look, I put myself down because I got this dream, I got this goal, I had this stuff I said I was going to do in my 30s and my 20s. I really wanted to do it. I never did it. So now you think you're too old, you think you're too washed up, you think you don't know how to do it. And the truth of the matter is you're not even that old. Look, a lot of the people you like that are succeeding at your age. And you think that you're too old. I mean, make it make sense. Like, and the young ones are still, like, you like, okay. So if even the youngest of the youngest, a 2-year-old can succeed as much as a 20 or 30, 40, 60-year-old. So nobody is limited, no matter what